Hi, thanks for joining us this evening. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. I'm going to turn things over to our presenters soon, and at the end, we're going to have time for questions. So I know during the presentation, you might have some questions, but hold them to the end because they might actually get answered as we go through things. So at question time, you can use the raise your hand function. It's a little hand icon to indicate to me that you'd like to speak, and I'll unmute you to do so. If you happen to be on some kind of device that you're not able to unmute yourself, you could just type a question or a chat and we'll get into it at the end. I'll read those out loud. So now I'll turn things over to our park planner, Jennifer Minier.
Thanks, Margaret. So I just wanted to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us to hear about our ideas for a new playground at Maine Park. We're really excited about this project. I'd like to introduce our staff that we have here with us today. First is Gail Mountcastle, our Executive Director. Terry Wolf is here, our Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds. April Armour, Superintendent of Recreation. Julie Grieve, our Recreation Manager, is here. Margaret Holler, who is just speaking, our Marketing and Public Relations Director. Marianne Lucas is our Executive Administrative Assistant. And then we also have Michelle Kelly and Liz Defoe, our landscape architect consultants from Upland Design. So just a brief background on the Maine Park Playground. The playground at Maine Park is one of our largest and most heavily used playgrounds. The playground is currently utilized by our preschool and summer camps as well as the neighboring community. And the current equipment was installed way back in 1993, and so it's going on its 28th year of use. So it's well overdue for a makeover. In 2021, the board authorized funds to begin the planning and design process with the intent to replace the existing playground in 2023. So we've been working with Upland Design to create several very fun and creative concept plans for the area, and we're really excited to present the plans to you and get your feedback on these designs. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Michelle Kelly and Liz Defoe from Upland Design, who are going to walk us through the design concepts. Take it away, Michelle.
Thanks, Jennifer. Awesome. All right, so just to give you a quick overview, this evening we're going to start with the existing site conditions. We're going to talk through 3 concepts in detail, and then we're going to have some voting. So if you want to grab a little pad of paper maybe, or a note, there's going to be a lot of images, and you might want to write down some of your favorite things, because when we get through presenting them all, we're going to have on-screen or on phone voting for you, and everybody can participate. And then we're going to even show you the answers and what everyone voted. And then at the very end, we will go through some questions, allow you guys to all jump in and ask anything you want. And finally, we'll have next steps of what will be happening. All right, so here's our existing site conditions. You can see this boat structure has been here a long time. This is also another large structure here. And then in the background here is your existing preschool playground area. We're not going to be working in that area at all. It's all fenced off. This is really the non-preschool playground area that we're talking about. And there's a really good picture here. You can see that area. So it's a very large playground. And for the most part, we'll be working in the same footprints. All right, so we're going to start out with Concept A first. The theme on Concept A is Illinois wetlands. And there's some fun pictures here. You'll see how things tie together. But overall, there's pathway access, both from the west and the east, also allowing people to continue to navigate through the park, and then as well as a connection to the north. What you see over here on the east side is a new shelter, and then we'll have seating area, a discovery stream here, then 2 to 5 play area here, 5 to 12 play area in all of this area, and a large swing area. And then we also have some highlight areas that are for play and sensory just off the playground. And we're going to go through each of those areas with some larger photos. So here is that main structure, that the big 5 to 12 structure that gets you up high. We're up here at 14 feet. And when you get up this high, it's nice and enclosed, but still really visible for people to be able to see in and out. So you can start down here on the ground and climb all the way up through both nets and ladders to get up to this high point, and then you're able to slide down. This is a great photo over here. You can see how you can slide down that piece. And then there's another slide here as well, the spiral slide. One nice thing about this piece, it also has a great set of stairs here and then a bridge here so that caregivers and parents can get to the vast majority of it without having to climb on a bunch of nets. Then the playground piece also snakes back this way with some fun overhead climbing, some net climbing, and a wall climber. And you can see how all of this ties together with browns and greens. And then the 2 to 5 area here, you see, is a variety of play on mounds and hills that all tie into that wetland theme. So one of the mounds has a slide on it. You can see that guy right here. And then there's a bridge across the mound. So this is actually a low area, looks like a little bit of a wetland. And then the play bridge has these fiddleheads and cattails up on top of it. And then as you go through the wetland, you come to a big turtle, this guy here that's made to play on. And then across from the turtle, right here and over to here, we have these mushroom steppers. And then off to the side, there's these grass blade climbers you can climb over. You can balance on them. You could sit on them. So those are right up over here. And additional independent components include the dragon seesaw, which of course you would find a dragon in a wetland, and the zoom twist net climber. So this guy twists, it turns, and kids can climb up through it over on the inside or the outside of it. Down at the south end, we have a set of swings. We have 2 belts, 3 tots, 1 ADA, and 1 companion seat. So you can kind of see this is a companion seat where someone can sit here or a parent can just push. And then this is an ADA, give you an idea what that looks like. So lots of swings for this area. This is the only area in A that is engineered wood fiber. You can see here where all the rest of the surfacing is a rubber surfacing. So poured in place rubber. It's not movable rubber, it's that solid rubber. Makes it easy to play on and also easy to make mounds with. All right, and then we also have music play area over here in the landscape. So created new perennial areas, some natives, and with that, there's a mushroom table seating area and some musical instruments that also kind of nod to dragonflies, butterflies, and oranges and leaves. But these really have a nice sound to them too. So the combination of color and nature really tie together with good sounding musical instruments. And then this is our discovery stream. So this area is a little bit off to the west, and you can see it would be a port with the ability of kids to be able to actually pump water that will flow through the stream. And you can see it kind of flows in multiple directions so that kids can really manipulate and play with it and play with rocks and weirs. Lots of sensory play with that. And then to support the overall playground area, we want to have plenty of seating and shade. So this gives you an idea of what that picnic shelter nearby looks like, some picnic tables that would be with it. And then we have some stone seating areas on the edges of the playground that look like big pebbles, overgrown sized pebbles, and then some benches that also have some grasses in it that tie into that wetland look. So overall, just to come back to it again, here is concept A. I'm just going to point out that these are those pebble areas here, benches here. This is a big log bench, more pebble seating here. Then we have the mushroom seating here. So lots of different places. And then this little guy here is an extra little walkway, kind of a fun discovery walk. And then we have a rain garden here. And so our water that comes from this, that kids pump, will actually, once it goes down to a drain, will go out to the rain garden here. And some of that will be able to infiltrate back into the groundwater. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about concept B, and our theme here is prairie animals. I think you might notice that everything is a little nature-based. It fits this part really well. So these are some of our inspiration guys over here that tie into some of the play pieces. So overall, I start on the west here. Here's our large area of swings again. This also is in wood fiber. Our middle section, this whole area here, is rubber surfacing. And then we get over to the east side. In this case, we also have some wood fiber surfacing here too. And so we had our swings. Then we have our mound fun play that ties to a big rock play. This is our 5 to 12 structure. And then here we have a double zip line. And then some other play pieces, we'll look at those with enlargement pictures. But this area over here is our seating musical area. And then from there, there's a tree cookie path that winds through some nature play through here. You can kind of see this look of what that is. And then in B, we have a larger structure. It's about 12 feet longer than the one that you saw in A. Let's look at some of these images. Here is the 5 to 12 structure. This kind of plays off that big treehouse feel with wood slats as if kids made it. But the other thing is it's supposed to give you a feeling of crawling through the tunnels of a prairie, much like a prairie dog might do. And that's where some of the inspiration came for this structure, is that you could climb through these different pieces. You actually have 3 levels here, 1, 2, 3. Lookout spots from up on top, and then a really big slide tunnel down to the ground again. Right. So looking across over to this area, this is our big Prairie Mound where kids can also play with the actual prairie dog. This guy here is actually, he's a concrete sculpture, but he's made for kids to play on. So he's right here in the center, and then around him are these big grasses that you can climb on or sit on. You can see this young lady playing there. And then the mounds, each of these contours is a 1-foot contour, also have a slide. They have climbing rocks right along here. And then you get over to this guy, which is a log-inspired balance beam. As you move over east, you have this big climber here that actually has ropes off it. So that becomes more challenging, a little bit more for the older kid, or maybe that 5-year-old that really wants to play with the big kids. And then this is a Weesaw. It is made to be like a big spring ride, but multiple kids can play on it. You can see here we have 4 kids that are sitting on well-supported seats. So if you happen to be somebody that has some muscle or core strength issues, you have lots of support and lots of handholds, but also there's this great spot in the middle. So if you just can't sit up, this is a great spot to lie and be part of the program and have fun. But it's also for an older kid, you could even stand here and rock and actually kind of challenge yourself from a balance standpoint. So we love the Weesaw. And then this is the Zoom twist net that we saw in concept A. And I just want to point out that we'll be seeing some of these during voting. So again, note down the things that you like the best, note the themes you like the best, the structure, and even the overall look. All right, so here's the zip line. You can see this guy here This is a double zip line. So one of these is a seat, a pod, much like you see down here, while the other one is a full seat that looks like this. So somebody that has some mobility issues or a younger user could sit and actually be able to play right along with able-bodied folks. And then, of course, the swings again, and you can see that it's the same setup that we saw in A from a swing standpoint. And then here's our music area. Here's the same pieces that we saw in A, wonderful sound quality, fun colors. And then we have our extended tree cookie path. You can see this young lady using a tree cookies path that just was put in Geneva. And then our shade, you can see a little bit larger structure here with picnic tables. And then we also have 2 flower shade pieces that go over the benches that add some whimsy to our Illinois prairie design. And here's back to our full plan, just so you can see it all one more time. Right, on to concept C. So our theme here is birds, bats, and insects. Oh my. You'll see some similarities to some of the fun pieces you've seen before, and then also some brand new pieces. One of the things that we know we saw in A was the water feature. We also have a water feature in C, but in this case, it is on the hillside here. And just to orientate you, we have our same pathway that goes along east-west and the similar shelters you saw in A. But what we've done is add a new path here that actually goes uphill. And it goes up 1, 2, 3 feet so that when you get up here, you actually can accessibly walk or roll onto the structure and get to these 3 pods here from this concrete pad. But also, if you happen to walk up here, this is a rubber mound that you can walk back down and be able to or roll or jump. And then there's also a slide here off the top. So then we have some limestone outcroppings here that you can also sit on to help us pick up some of that grade. And then you can see the water fun feature that runs along this side. And then when you come down to the lowest part of our water feature, there's another sitting area with a couple seats for parents or caregivers here, and then also easy access to the water feature at that lower level. We think that's probably going to be a fun feature if this option is picked. So we want to make sure there was a lot of space right near it that was accessible. So overall, again, we have engineered wood fiber at our swing area, and then we have poured in place rubber surfacing in this area. Let's look at some of the equipment. All right, this is our 5 to 12 play structure. And you can see here that access ramp that lets you to get here and up to here using just the ramps without having to do stairs or a transfer. And tied into this overall, you'll see there's some kind of naturey feel to it with some logs that you can walk up, but as well as easy set of stairs for accessing. There's numerous slides with a double slide here, a single slide here, and then up from our top highest deck, we have 2 different slides, this curly Q, and then there's a straight slide over here as well. One of the fun things about this one is you can actually climb up right through the middle of this, almost like a tree house, and play up here on the top as well. And then there's numerous other climbers on it, like this climbing wall here, this climbing wall here. There's another one over on the other side. And finally, you'll see some of these rocks have bugs and bats, snakes actually painted into the rocks. They're hand painted, and so it's almost a scavenger hunt of trying to find the bugs and the bees on this structure. And there's a couple pictures you can see of what you find. Right, and so our independent pieces include this butterfly climber. You can see that's actually this X here. The same we saw previously, and then an omni spinner. This is a group spinner, as you can see here, and it's fun, it's easy to push, and it has a speed limiting device like most spinners today. So you can't get thrown off. You could possibly still get sick. And then our swings, so very similar in our swings, except we've added one additional swing here, the Oodle Swing. It's kind of like a new age tire swing where you can put multiple kids on there and it swings back and forth instead of in the circle, and it makes it fun for group play. Musical instruments are found right over here. And these pods on either side of our swings, in this case, are places for plants and trees. They also give a little bit of a buffer between the run and play here and our swings, so we're less likely to have kids running in front of somebody who is swinging. Here's our discovery stream with plantings that would make it a happy place for bugs and butterflies and dragonflies. And then here's our overall sea concept all together. Right over here is also a rain garden, so that this discovery stream also will underground pipe out to a piping system in the rain garden to allow it to infiltrate also into the groundwater. Right? And then just to point out here, there's those same fun benches, as well as a few extra picnic tables. Hey, all right, I hope you guys have taken some, oh, there's our last few pieces there. And now we are on to the survey questions. So this first question is, there are 5 different pieces here, and Liz is gonna put them up for us, but we want you to pick your favorite one. So when you see it pop up, go ahead and select. And then when we get everybody or almost everyone select, then Liz will show us the results.
All right, here it goes.
Okay.
All right, it looks like we're just waiting on a few more people. Get your answers in.
And this is going to help us figure out, even though we might pick one concept, maybe we'll switch things up a little bit to make sure we're getting the most things people are excited and interested in having.
All right, if everybody can get their vote in, we'll just give it 1 or 2 more seconds. All right, I'm going to close the voting and share the results. So it looks like the Weesaw and Rock Climber are kind of neck and neck with the Omni Spinner close behind in ahead, and then the Butterfly Climber is last, and the Zoom Twist is kind of hanging out in the middle there. So thank you guys all for that feedback.
Great. All right. All right, survey question 2 is both A and C included an interactive discovery stream. How important is this feature to you in the final design? And we got 4 choices here, very important, like, oh boy, I don't build the playground without it. Or somewhat important, I like it. Not important, I don't like it. Or no preference, which is just fine.
Great, here it comes. So that's launched for everybody. Great, I think you guys are getting the hang of voting. All right, we'll give it a couple more seconds to get your ideas in. All right, I'm gonna close it now. and share out the option. So very important and somewhat important, kind of led the way here at 39%. And 22% said that they didn't like it. And everybody that voted had an opinion. So thank you guys for sharing that.
That is great.
All right.
And our next question is, which structure did you like the best? So this is a great opportunity if maybe you liked one of the concepts better, because we're going to ask you that in a minute with the actual overall layout, but maybe you liked a different structure than the layout that you might like best. So this is a great opportunity to tell us which one.
All right, so I will launch this one. So everybody, it's going to take over the screen. So if take a good look at your option.
Yeah, did you decide before you put it up, Liz?
Yeah, so I'll put it up here in a second. So just giving everybody one last warning here. I think if you swipe over, you might be able to see to go back to the options. But let me launch that for you. So A was the first, the treehouse theme. B was the
prairie dog climbing structure.
The prairie dog climbing structure, and the C was the one with the rocks and the slides. So it looks like we're getting pretty close. We have to give everybody a couple more seconds. All right, it looks like we've got about everybody in here. And I will share the results. So it looks like C was the winner at 44%, and then A and B were close behind at 28%. So thanks everybody for voting on that one.
Pretty close there though, huh?
Yeah, very close.
All right, so what is your overall theme? And again, like we said, we can mix and match here. A is wetlands, B is prairie animals, C is birds, bats, and insects. Oh my.
Great, so I'll launch this one and I can remind, oh, and we have it here too. So A is wetlands again, B is prairie animals, and C are the birds and bats.
I'm not sure I could pick.
Right, so it looks like we've got just about everybody been voting in, so we'll give it 2 more seconds here. All right, so I will close that one and share the results here. So it looks like the concept A, wetlands, is the big winner at 61%. Prairie animals was 22, and then birds and bats, oh my, is 17%.
So sorry, birds and bats.
See, everybody always goes for those cute fuzzy animals.
The cute fuzzy animals. Well, wetlands.
Oh,
The turtle. I think it was the turtle. All right, and now what is your overall favorite concept? So kind of the overall look, the layouts, whatever it is that inspires you on each of these, whatever sticks out and says, I love it the best, please vote for that.
All right, so I will launch this now. All right. All right, I'll give it a couple more seconds here. It looks like we've got most of the votes in. All right, I'll close that. There you go. So it looks like concept A, which was the wetland themed one, that overall concept was also the winner at 56%, with concept C right behind it at 28, and concept B 17%. So thanks everybody so much for voting and sharing your thoughts on that.
That's awesome. Okay, so where are we going from here? We're going to gather all the results and have a board meeting on February 3rd where the board will get to see all the things you saw, and then also be able to hear the input that that was gotten so that they can help move this forward. Then in early March, we'll be having a second public meeting, and that one will be where we've taken all the information and brought that together to have one plan, and then again, ask for some input and make sure we got it right. Construction is scheduled for 2023. We don't know exact dates yet. There's a lot of supply issues with metals and materials that playgrounds are made with. So 2023 is our goal, and the actual final dates will be decided as we move forward looking at that supply chain issues.
And one other thing I did want to share, if you know anybody that couldn't make it tonight, we are going to share the presentation, the park district is, and we will also have a survey of the same questions that you guys got to answer on the website. So please feel free to spread the word to your friends and neighbors so that we can get even more feedback on the concepts we presented tonight. So that'll be put on the website tomorrow, and the survey will be up until February 2nd.
Wonderful. All right, so now we'd like to open it up to questions. If you are interested and have something you want to ask, we certainly can flip back on slides and try to give some answers to you.
Okay, I'll start unmuting people. Jim O'Donnell, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, everybody. It's kind of fun to be sitting on the other side of the dais here. I can be throwing the arrows instead of receiving them. It's kind of neat. Hey, great presentation. We have a little one, and she's 3 now, but she's been using the park since she was able to walk, maybe even a little bit before. And so our concern was in looking at it didn't seem to be any kind of a comparable structure for little kids. A structure with smaller slides, some climbing, but a little bit less, a ramp, a bridge, those kinds of things. I didn't see that, so that kind of concerns us.
So I think one of the big things that we looked at was because there is a very large preschool playground just to the north of this and in the park, that's usable when preschool isn't taking place, that we didn't want to overdo the 2 to 5 since it really exists in the park. But at the same time, we did add lots of pieces that were fun for climbing. So this whole area in here is really geared towards that 2 to 5 with the small double slide, the small bridge, this wetland plane all through here with the turtle. That's sort of with each of the A and B, we're really trying to create that sort of fun adventure. And then also the music play, the sensory play, and the water play that you see in A and C are really fun for that younger age kid. So we really tried to make sure that we had a lot to do for those kids, but it didn't repeat what's already going on north.
Yeah, the only thing about what's going on north is that there's just really a lot of the time you can't use it.
Yeah, good point.
Hi, Jim. It's good to hear your voice. This is Gail. I think the other point to make with that, and duly noted your comments, and these are all great comments. What we talked about as well as a staff is that what we see on these playgrounds is that a lot of the kids, especially the 3 and 4-year-olds, they start gravitating to the big structures, even though we say they're geared toward 5 to 12. So that was just another point to make.
Yeah, and I think, on the 5 to 12 structure, just to add on concept C, that was kind of picked, there, that deck ramps off of the sidewalk, and there is slides and climbers that are at the lower deck height that would be usable for the younger kids as well.
I saw that. Hey, one last thing I really liked. Hey, Gail, I sure hope you end up with money in the budget to put those rubber surfaces in, because they're great.
Yes, they're in now, and all of these plans are within the budget at this point.
Good.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next person who had their hand raised. Oh, sorry, Jim, do you have something?
No, thank you. I'll unmute, or I'll mute. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
I also have a typed in question. So after I unmute Lisa Talbert to ask her question, we'll go to our typed in question. Lisa, you could unmute yourself to speak.
Hi, thank you so much. Just so you know, my 6-year-old was also sitting next to me and got super excited about C. So we were disappointed it didn't get the most votes. We've been using the Maine Park playground since they were babies. We also have a 4-year-old at home, and I will say that I completely agree with what Jim said, that there have been so many times where we've been trying to get to the preschool park, but it was closed because that's the time that we would be there during the week especially. And so I definitely appreciate the playground equipment in C for that reason, because it did have the options. I feel like you can't necessarily let a under 5-year-old go free in concept A. I would feel uncomfortable. My real question though was related to the supply chain issue. I know that there have been other parks where, you know, everything is removed and then all of a sudden the park is closed for a very long time while they were waiting for more equipment. So I just wanted to make sure, or I just wanted to know if there was confirmation that, you know, are we waiting until everything arrives before we start ripping it apart, or are we, I don't know, how does that work?
No, great question. Actually, we were talking about that before the meeting, that our plan is that once the equipment is all chosen, is actually to talk to each manufacturer and look at timelines so that we are planning to start construction when it is appropriate and we don't have a playground that's just unconstructed and unusable for long periods of time. So that's our plan, is to get it aligned because we know there are issues today.
Yeah, and I just want to add that, you know, we're aware that we did have some issues with our with an existing project, and that was kind of a learning curve as these supply chain issues that have come up during the pandemic have been unprecedented. So we take careful notes and we learn from things that come up, and we adjust along the way. So we would certainly plan for that.
I did have one other question, if that's okay. My other question was for the discovery stream. Does the water only flow when a older child or an adult does it, or is the water always flowing?
The water is not flowing all of the time, and that really is being thoughtful from a green standpoint. We want it to be flowing when someone's actually playing. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but the one we showed pictures of it's a pump. But it's not a true pump. It's not hard to do. Anyone could do it. I wouldn't have a 2-year-old probably couldn't do it, but a 4-year-old for sure could. And the idea is that they pump it once and water comes out. They pump it again, water comes out again. And that way it flows when someone wants to use it.
Okay, we have been to parks that have had that in the past. And again, it was just one example. I don't know when it was built, but the flow was so slow. There was another one where it was like the step on option, and it just flows for 5 minutes, and then you have to step on it to turn it on again, and it flows for a few minutes. And that just seemed much more engaging with the kids as well.
Well, that's a great point. So you like the one with the push button better, and it had a timed, so it still turned off, but it was timed, so it was easier to have water flowing.
Yes, I would agree with that completely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to go to one of our typed in questions. I'm trying to do the questions in the order that we received them. This one's also about the discovery stream, and it's regarding that discovery stream. Would it get hot in the sun and be slippery?
I think any surface could get hot in the sun, so I don't want to say it wouldn't get hot. I actually think the water when running would cool things. it's made to run so water doesn't sit in it. So the water shouldn't just sit there and get hot. As far as slippery, I think one of the concerns we have is if water sits, that you get algae and that can become slippery. And this is not one of those situations. Water is supposed to continue to flow, not actually sit, you know, too long in any one place, and so that you don't get that sort of slippery situation. It still would need to be maintained and cleaned like any, you know, part of the park. So if leaves got in it, that sort of thing, it would still need to be cleaned.
Yeah, and I think some of the options we were showing were was a concrete surface, maybe with some pebbles in it, but you know, that kind of medium broom finish concrete surfacing you see a lot in splash pads. So it would be really similar to that.
Okay. Next, I'm going back to the audience. Lauren, you're up next. You could speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you for doing this because I have two small children, 1 3 and 1 6, and we just love the parks where we visit daily. So my first comment is one thing we didn't get to vote on was in C, they had a scavenger hunt idea. And I know in one of our other parks, where there's a splash pad, there's like a pirate ship and there's little things that people can search for. And my kids love that. Searching for the different pieces. So I would love to see another more elaborate scavenger hunt piece in here. It seems like something that doesn't take a lot of, it's something that can be done over and over and over again. And that's something they look forward to. And then I also really wanted to encourage you guys to think about some kind of shading option. And I noticed in your presentation, you had the flower shade in one of them, and I can't remember which one, but I really know that, you know, my kids get so excited, and in the summers when those slides get really hot and the climbing structures get really warm, it's almost too warm for them to play on. And I'd like you to consider some kind of shading options. That would be really great. Thank
Great
you.
suggestions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. Angie, you could unmute yourself to speak. All right, let's try again. There you go. Angie? She is unmuted. We had this problem once at a board meeting too. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My interest at this point, with all of the beautiful opportunities that are available here, is the seating area around this area to make sure that parents can be close to their children when they are on any of these areas. You mentioned a few of the seating areas, but I think that it would be very helpful to have a number of seating areas. And in addition, you've got some beautiful greenery around there. In Concept C, you've let an area within the area of the children's playground that has trees or bushes or something. And I'm hoping that some of these will be tall enough. And then there's the maintenance of having the leaves that fall and so forth be taken off. The area that would make it slippery on that rubber that you have on the bottom there. But I do think that that's wonderful that the kids can get into the shade. And that was just something that the other lady was talking about prior. But who's going to do all of the greenery, and will that be established prior to the actual building of the playground?
Terry, do you want to take that one, or Jennifer?
Sure, I can take that one. So the greenery and landscaping portions of this would likely be part of the overall contract. And typically those items are placed as the construction is completing, so that it's not damaged or trampled during during the construction process. It'll certainly be something that it'll be on the staff's list of things to maintain as they go forward. But not having gotten too far into the design on any of these yet, these are all just conceptual. We haven't gotten to the point of, you know, the sizing of the plant material, the types, how closely they'll be planted, and, you know, what kind of time would be needed to grow in. But those are all things for consideration. So,
Terry, just to clarify, some of these plantings and trees are already existing, correct?
yeah, I do believe so. I know that just based on the design that it's a lot of the landscape and some of those larger trees are in some of those locations or near those locations now. So where others might be added in as part of the construction project.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Angie. I'm going to go to a typed in question. They missed the start of the presentation, so sorry if it was already addressed. However, I know it wasn't, so it's a good thing to ask about. I'm wondering if all three concepts are similarly priced for both construction and equipment. So they're asking about the budgets.
Yeah, so all of three of these are very much aligned in budget, and that way you see lots of different options, but we have them all in cost estimates. So from a play value standpoint, we try to make sure that all these categories of play are being covered in each of them, but we can do that in so many different ways. To say one's equal from a play value, it's hard to say that's just perfectly. But what we try to do is all three of them have covered our major play areas: sensory, climbing, sliding, swinging, spinning, social play, and spaces to get away. So that you can sit and rest in shade or be a caregiver and watch. So all those things are covered in every concept.
Thank you. We also have another comment. I agree completely with the shade, but I don't think the flower structures are practical at all. I don't believe they'll be in the correct place, and they were too small. I like the natural shade near the stream in concept 3. That was just a comment.
Right.
And then Sarah, I have unmuted you so you could speak.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to echo some of the comments earlier. My kids will probably be on the older end when this is built, but I don't think there's really adequate play areas for like the 2 to 5 year olds. If, you know, even if you have like a new walker, if the north playground is closed, right, you have a couple older kids running around on a larger structure. I mean, you know, it's hard for them to sometimes avoid, you know, smaller children. So I really think that's sort of a miss in almost all of them, especially number 3. And then I just had a question. Is the structure with the tables and benches, is that going to be rented through the park district, or that's just open?
I can answer that. It's both. It would be available for rental, but when it's not rented, it's available for the public for general use. So that's like a lot of our other structures. We do that with Centennial and Prospect Park, and there's a few others. I can't name them all off the top of my head, but it's for both. Most of the time they're just open and available, but they are rented occasionally.
Okay. And then in that case, I like the larger one, right? If you are going to rent it out, you know, more seats might be better sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Angie, I see your hand up again, so I will unmute you again if you have something to say.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to comment on the last option C. It had a lot of play areas, a lot of slides and things. I think that was option C. And it reminded me a lot of the new slide structure for the older kids at Centennial Park, which is just not, I don't find it very safe for even the older kids. If there's like been any rain or snow at all, we were just there yesterday or 2 days ago. It is so slippery because you have to climb the ladder to get to the taller slides, and there's no stairs or any way to get to those multiple slides. except for a ladder. Even the older kids, like I find it just an unsafe. I won't let my kids on it. You know, like I see the older kids going on it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack the whole time because their boots can slip or their shoes can slip if there's dew from the morning or, you know, afternoon in the summer, whatever. It's just, I don't like that setup. And I, as an adult, like I can't like get up there to help them if someone was to fall on that third level where those slides are. It's just, it's one too many to rush up there if someone got hurt. I'm not that nimble, you know, and I'm going through this like tight area. I don't like that setup at all. Adding another one, I don't want another one. Are there other options for the older kids? My kid's not that age now. I have an 18-year-old and I have a 3-year-old. So I've been at this stage before. Like I've got both stage, you know, multiple stages. I've been through all of them already. I'm just wondering if you guys can look at something else for the older kids so they can have fun and, you know, be wild, but not like give me a heart attack the whole time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, we are caught up. So unless anybody else wants to raise their hand to speak. Oh, I got Jennifer Leduc. You could unmute yourself, Jennifer.
Thank you. And yeah, so I'm speaking tonight as a parent. I really liked the rock climbing wall or the one with the like big rock with the nets coming off it, because I do think it's good because, you know, I know older kids sometimes feel like they've outgrown a lot of the traditional play structures. My oldest is in middle school, and I know that's something him and his Cub Scout pack talked about, and even mentioned at a board meeting that they feel like there's not as much stuff for them. And I liked the climbing wall that was, I want to say it was on Concept C's structure. And one of the things I really like the Concept C structure the most, especially because when I looked at the Concept A structure, while I thought it looked really cool, when I looked at the rooftop panels, all I could picture was teenagers like climbing up there, jumping from one to another, and like the potential liability issues there. And then the other thing I really liked about Concept C was sort of the natural segregation of the swing area, because I know, especially when my younger kid was small, like she was always running in front of the swings, like with a death wish. And having a natural barrier where, you know, there's still some free flow in between, but there's like some natural divide going on, I think is a very smart idea. Because yeah, little people are attracted like, you know, moths to a flame to bigger kids swinging on the swings. But overall, I love the whole nature theme of all the different concepts. So thank you for your work on this.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else? Yep. Lisa, you could go. Oh,
Sorry, I do have one more thing. My 6-year-old daughter and my 4-year-old daughter play very differently. My 6-year-old is extremely imaginative, and she will find any way to play imaginatively at the park. And my 4-year-old is the climber. And I just want to make sure there's a balance of both things. I think that there has to be some imaginative stuff that can be done. You know, the little ice cream stand is one of her favorite things. I don't know if that's in any of these, any of the little tables, anything like that. I just feel like there needs to be a variety.
thank you.
Great input tonight. This has been wonderful.
Any, Sarah, you can go.
Just curious, we use the park 365 days a year. What happens to the stream and the water structure in the winter?
Yeah, good question. So when we get close to that frost date, it does get cleaned out and shut down, and then it wouldn't be turned on again until the spring. Because they're both designed with kind of a nature feel to them. They're not going to be ugly in the wintertime. I think that actually when the snow falls on them, that would kind of be sort of interesting to look at. And it might be somewhere that kids still want to play with leaves and nature pieces, but the water will be turned off and closed down for that part of it in the wintertime.
Okay, but it's not actually closed. Like in theory, like someone could still be
No.
walking in it, right? I just want to make
Right.
sure it's like still safe. I think someone talked about it before, right? If the snow gets on it and then it melts and it's all wet, like is it really slippery and then unsafe for small children?
Right, so like this is on the side here, but this whole walkway, it all will still be open. It's just the water won't be functioning. And this has, you know, a very easy slope, something that would be anybody could walk up as far as this goes to be able to still access everything on this one. And then you can see here the water is off to the side. So again, it will be open. It's not going to be closed, but it also isn't a central feature. So when you come to play and it's March and it's nice out and the water's not running, I don't think you're going to feel like, oh, we don't have that, because it's, you know, it's off to the side.
And I think also the drains would still be open, so, and everything is going to be sloped to drain. So the water would eventually all drain away, even during the winter when the actual water isn't on.
Good point.
Thanks, Sarah. I have a couple more that came in typed. Love the idea of the ice cream stand and the scavenger hunt. Concerned about the cleanliness, care, and cost of the water feature year round. And then another comment, barricading the swings with landscaping and caretaker seating is great. And can you place the larger shaded picnic pavilion in any of the concepts? Oh, can we enlarge the squares to the rectangle?
Okay, so the cost is a little bit more for the larger shade structure, and obviously there's a couple more picnic tables. So B, with that, you'll notice that in B there's a little bit less rubber surfacing. We don't really have less play value, but we have a little less rubber surfacing because it's so expensive, but a larger structure. So that's the way we balanced out. So if we wanted the larger structure to balance out the cost, we might do less rubber surfacing, but not less play. I don't know, maybe you want to add a comment to that. Like, does that make you change your mind?
Lisa, you could unmute yourself again to speak.
I was trying to lower my hand, I'm sorry.
I could do it for you.
It's funny.
Anybody else? You could raise your hand. I think we're done.
I had one more comment if everybody's done. And Terry and Jennifer, you may have something as well. This was awesome. Thank you all so much for all of your comments. It's so helpful to us as we go back and as we put out the survey, and you know, these comments will all be taken into consideration. I do like to, because that's what, you know, I want to make sure that we put the disclaimer on there is, you know, for instance, if we add more shade to a lot of these structures, which I do certainly concur with, the shade is important, but it does take the cost. Everybody understands that, I'm sure. So if we show you more shade, something, you know, else might be missing. So we just want to, you know, we've got to work within the budget. So I just wanted to throw that out there as we have the, you know, the upland tweak the different options.
And I want to add one other thing is that we voted tonight, but just because something might have got the most votes tonight doesn't mean it won, because we're going to put this out and continue to get more community input. So that's your hopefully your impetus to go and tell your neighbors to jump onto the Park District website and click on the survey and get more people giving their votes on what they want.
I'll actually email out that survey too, so it'll go to 12,000 people. Lauren, I see that you raised your hand again. If you'd like to unmute yourself, you could speak.
Oh, just one quick question based on what Gail just said. So to understand the shading, you mean over the equipment? Is that the part that you're saying is very costly?
I was just using as an example of if we, start adding things that aren't in these plans, such as the shading. So I can't speak to, exactly over the equipment or, I'm sure you've seen that, over the large pieces or maybe over just sections of it. So that was an example of if we change X, then we may lose Y.
Of course, I understand that. I guess my question was is if there was also, if anyone looked into different kinds of shading. I know you showed the pictures of the flower shading, but any of the large canopy shading as well?
Yes, we're aware of all of that, and we have, we have all those options. Are you particular? Is there a particular one? Like, are you talking over the big equipment, or are you just talking in general, like the big shade structures?
I would like to see something maybe even protecting the swings. Those little seats get so hot. And sometimes I have to put a sweatshirt down on top of them to let my little one swing, or even some of the climbing, if we could find materials that maybe wouldn't heat up, that might take the place of where the shade would be needed. But it's just a safety issue always as well. If my son's climbing and it's warm or hot, it's just really disappointing when it's the middle of summer and we're looking to go to the park to play and it's just too hot.
It's hard to imagine we're talking about being too hot right now, right? But
I know.
Thank you. We hear you. I hear what you're saying. Thank you. Anybody else, Margaret?
Nope.
All right. Jennifer, are you gonna close us up here?
Yeah,
or?
sure. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for attending again. This was really great feedback. I think everyone will agree that this was a really great meeting. Be sure and tell your family and friends about the website. Go to prparks.org and have them check out the plans and fill out the survey. And everybody enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.